I would always be stuck in this weird limbo. It's like McKinsey is this super hot, popular guy. I was so focused every day on just surviving for the next day. Hi friends, it's Haylene here and I am back with another video. Welcome to part 2 of my career series where I continue on from where I dropped off last video. So last video I shared a little bit about my consulting experience and what triggered me into starting to think, hey, I need to decide whether I am going to leave consulting. So when I decided to start thinking about do I stay or do I go, here's how I went about my thinking process. So firstly, from my experience, as you heard, I already had some red flags where I didn't feel like I was in the right place. Since I had noticed it early on and brought it up, I tried to talk to as many people as I could to help form a decision. I think it was extremely important for me to flag my underlying feelings early on to my digital partners, my personal development manager and my mentors, so I wasn't suffering in silence and then quitting out of the blue. So they were actually aware of how I was feeling and we could find ways to make things work as best they could for me. So I mentioned in my last video that I gave myself 6 months for my decision. And this was because early on, one of the digital partners recommended that I take 6 months of experience in consulting before trying to form this whole life-changing career decision. It was also really important for my experience to serve as a proper data point rather than me making a decision based off a couple of bad experiences. I agreed that this was the most sensible idea, so that's what I decided to do and I tried my best to then make it better. But I also knew that after this set amount of time, I would need to then sit down, put my foot down and make a decision. Because otherwise I would always be stuck in this weird limbo where I was always 1 foot out questioning whether I should stay. I ended up talking to so many people during this time trying to get their opinions and experiences. I ended up talking to people within the firm, people outside of it, people in tech, startup founders, friends, family, career counselors, literally everyone I talked to. And I was continually touched by the support from everyone and I really appreciated the kindness from my teammates. But after talking it through over and over again, I eventually came to realize that there were some parts of consulting that I could never really change, that I wanted to optimize for me. Examples of this were the long hours, the struggle for work-life balance, the lottery of projects that you might get put on, the travel which I felt like you could never really avoid, and the fundamental need to be doing Excel and PowerPoint work. And at the end of the day, to help me really make my decision, I took on quite a consulting approach. So I did learn something from the industry and I ended up creating a weighted table analysis. Based on this, I then prioritized factors that really mattered to me in my career and I'm going to talk through the top 3 factors that helped me make my decision. My number 1 factor was the type of work I was doing. Now, as a BA, I didn't find the work terribly exciting. There were some awesome projects that I had heard of, but mainly my day-to-day work involved building Excel models, making PowerPoint slides based off discussions with my team or the partners, calls with experts, and a lot of stakeholder and client management. Even as a digital consultant, I got told that half the time the projects that I got put on would likely be non-digital. The thing that I felt was really missing for me was this element of creativity and innovation and really blue sky thinking, which because we were there to help our clients succeed and help them make money, there was less of a risk appetite for that. I wanted to be more hands-on and build things and be close to the end consumer and really see how at the end of the day, what I worked on impacted someone. With strategy, I felt like things were so high level because you were working with C-level executives all the time, which was incredible, but at the same time, numbers felt almost abstract and meaningless to me. Like for example, we would say one day, you will save $300 million in costs. And 300 million is a super impactful number. But to me, I didn't know where that $300 million really came from or what it represented in a tangible sense. The second factor that really mattered to me was work-life balance. And I think from hearing my experiences, you can see that work-life balance was still a big struggle. And as much as we are encouraged to make our own McKinsey and set boundaries, I feel like consulting will never really be a 9-to-5 job. And as much as I made it a point to get into the office around 8:30 and then try to leave by like 6 or 7, which was really good in comparison to my peers. We would have a team checkout at the end of a day in which the manager would ask us, "And what are you doing tonight?" To which I would think in my head, we have to get stuff done after work. And we did, because essentially the next morning during our check-in, we would then report back on that. I think the travel is another element that makes it difficult as well, and makes it difficult for you to have stability in your relationships, in your friendships, in your hobbies. And as much as it sounds even immature, I felt like I really needed these things to retain my personality and make me feel like me when the career was taking over my life. I wanted to play OzTag. I wanted to make YouTube videos. I wanted to go to dinners where I could talk to my friends and not have to pull out my laptop in the middle of it for a please fix. And lastly, the third factor that was really, really important to me in this decision was values alignment. And this one is a little bit hard to explain, but it was almost more of a feeling. In consulting, I feel like there's this underlying value that the client always comes first, and you need to do whatever is possible in your power to help them succeed. And sometimes clients can be really demanding. So this leaves you switched on 24/7, dedicated to their success, and having this sense of constant anxiety. For me, one of my top values is self-care. And I found with the firm so focused on client excellence, it left little room for their other primary goal, which was around developing an environment for exceptional people, or employee well-being. So with those factors taken into consideration, I decided then to leave consulting. I experienced that in tech, especially at Atlassian, I was able to fulfill these top 3 priorities, with product management being this really cool mix of business and technology, where you're building products, talking to customers, understanding user journeys, working with development, working with design, working with analytics, getting to wear heaps of different hats across the business. Work-life balance is certainly a lot better, and I personally felt a strong alignment with the Atlassian values. That being said, again, I emphasize this was a decision made between tech and consulting, not McKinsey and Atlassian. If it was a situation where I didn't like the organization, I probably would have just gone to another consulting company like BCG or Bain or whatever, but I met some incredible people at McKinsey and made some awesome friends as well. And I think one of my friends there actually made a comparison that put it perfectly. She said, "It's like McKinsey is this super hot, popular guy that everyone respects, and right now, he's your boyfriend. Yay. But actually, you realize he's not really your type, and you actually have a preference in other kinds of guys or girls." I thought that was exactly how I was feeling. You would probably enjoy consulting if you didn't know what you wanted to do in life quite yet, and you wanted to explore a lot of different industries and opportunities and be exposed to different experiences in order to help you make that decision. Maybe you're someone who loves traveling a lot and you love living a bougie life and having all these new experiences, and you don't quite mind that instability in your life yet. Maybe you want to learn very quickly about very different and bizarre things. When we got staffed onto a new project, we had to learn very quickly, like reading primers and being brushed up and being an expert in that field in about a few days. So that was a very valuable skill to learn. Maybe you want great exit opportunities in a strategy role. I think a lot of people talk about the endless exit opportunities that they get from joining a consulting company. And this is true, but it's dependent on what kind of exit opportunity you want. Because as a consultant, you'd likely go into something that is still strategy focused or still operations focused. But if you really wanted to be a developer or a designer or something in the future, then you probably shouldn't go into consulting because it's not really going to help you that much there. This one is not a hard and fast rule, but I think it helps if you're an extrovert. And I know that there are a lot of introverts in the firm, but I do feel like you will enjoy consulting that much more when you're someone who loves connecting with people and talking to a lot of people and having to build relationships really quickly, because that is a lot of what you're going to be doing in consulting, especially when you're working with clients. And especially when you need to travel, a lot of the time you're spending most of the week with just your team and the clients without having that physical comfort from your family. So it's really important for you to be able to adapt to new teams quickly and become friends, because you're going to be spending a lot of time with them, and a project is just that much more fun when you get along with everyone. I think if I was someone with different values, or if I got older and my values changed, I would definitely consider going back to consulting, because there are a lot of new and different experiences there, but you just need to be able to put up with the difficulties or the hardships that come along with it. And then on the flip side, I think you would love tech if work-life balance is really important to you. I don't think there is a better industry, maybe government, for work-life balance and a good mix of fun as well as hard work. Maybe you're someone who wants to be more creative, wants to be more practical and hands-on. That was certainly me. I feel so much thrill and fulfillment out of talking with end customers and seeing that my work has really impacted them in a positive way. Perhaps you're someone who needs a little bit more stability in your life, whether it be with your schedule or your relationships as well, because within a tech team you usually work with a small team on a particular part of the product over a longer period of time, and so you tend to build relationships quite strongly. Maybe you're someone who already knows that you love the tech world and the innovation that's involved with it, and that's where you want to focus most of your time, instead of sometimes working on tech projects, sometimes working on finance projects. And lastly, one that I think is quite important is if you want a tech startup, I don't think being in a tech industry is a bad place to be. For me, it's still a dream, but it's also something that I'm being a little more patient with and trying to learn the skills that I can within a product management role in order to get there. And I feel like if you want to have a startup that is specifically focused in the tech industry, you can learn so many skills by being in that industry, having those experiences, talking to those kinds of customers, understanding the technical components behind it, and what it is like to be in a successful tech company. Okay, I'm really glad that you guys got this far, and thank you so much for watching the video to this point. I'm going to leave you with my 3 final takeaways from my experience before this light completely takes over and floods my face. So firstly, I want you to think about what makes you happy and the things that you are passionate about, and chase those things rather than doing the things that you think people want you or expect you to do or will admire you for doing. Secondly, every experience is a learning opportunity. I have no regrets at all about choosing consulting in the beginning, and I think that it was the right decision, because if I hadn't done that and hadn't had the experience, I would probably be in the same position thinking, what if I had done consulting? What if I wasn't meant to be in tech? But I'm really grateful that I was able to experience those 2 opportunities and be able to discover the one that I fit in the most. And lastly, this one kind of links to my first point, so obviously I learned nothing about being messy, but you can only lock your true potential if you're doing something that you love and enjoy. And I think this is so important, because I remember in consulting I would pretty much do the bare minimum to get by, and I was so focused every day on just surviving for the next day, rather than thinking about how I could go over and beyond and make an impact in my work. And that's something that I typically would do. But because I was so consumed with unhappy thoughts, I wasn't unlocking my true potential to be able to do those things. Alright, so we have reached the end of this video, and I am almost completely awash in light, so I'm going to end this here. Thank you guys again so much for watching this series so far. Let me know what other career questions you have in the comments below, and I will do my best to make more videos about those if this was interesting to you. If you like this video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share it with your friends. And click the notification bell if you want to receive notifications from me every time I post a new video. Apart from that, thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye! Smiling every day with Hey Linny.